My name is John Bond. I have worked for 8 years in Africa and 25 years in Australia. In Australia, I was the secretary of the National Sorry Day Committee, which aroused 1 million people into action, calling for an apology to the Aboriginal people and healing for the cruel policies which they had endured. Now I'm the coordinator of the Caux Forum for Human Security.
Don't throw your heart away.
Now is the time of great urgency for us to act. We are facing situations in the world such as the runaway climate change, global warming, which means that we need to act fast, and that means everyone needs to act. So everyone needs to make their contribution. And the contribution of Caux is that it has a history of being able to reconcile groups who have been in conflict or in tension with each other. And in the situation we face in the world now, there is a huge need for the world to work together. China, Africa, the West, America, all to find common cause. And that is not easy. There's a huge amount of distrust. And Caux has a history of overcoming such mistrust and doing it because its challenge is based on a call to conscience, that it's a moral challenge, and people from all backgrounds can respond to that, and we can build the trust on which agreement on global warming, on establishing human rights and peace in many parts of the world, on limiting arms, on tackling hunger, all that can be based on building the trust, which this call is all about. That we would build a world coalition of conscience which unites both governments and civil society in many countries in determined action to turn our economies green and thereby overcome global warming. And that will mean developing very new lifestyles for certainly those of us in the West and the richer world. And I believe that we can establish peace in, well, the most crucial area is in the Middle East, because that at the moment is dividing most of the world. And so that carries great dangers of war breaking out, large-scale war. And it needs to be overcome. And this is one challenge which many of us are taking up to work for a solution to that situation.
Tomorrow brings along a holiday.
To read the call and follow their conscience in seeing how it applies to them. We can't be prescriptive on what people should do. Everyone is in a different area of influence, but everyone can take steps. They may be small, they may be just what you can do in your household to improve your, to lessen your carbon output. But many people have a much wider influence than that. And there are steps which everyone can take which will advance human security.
To wipe all your tears away, I'm giving you my all.
It came from a speech which Claire Short, Britain's former Minister of International Development, made here at the first Caux Forum 2 years ago. At the end of the forum, she said, "These ideas are very welcome, but it would be sad if they just remained here. We need to take the ideas which have been expressed here and take them out to the world. And we need to do that through a code declaration. And since then we have met a number of times to discuss what would a code declaration look like. And we have gradually changed it into a call to action, because that's really what is needed. It's not the words on paper so much as what people do in response. So the call to action has now been launched, and although we're developing it because we're in touch with many people, getting their ideas on it, not just on the text, but especially on how we can put its ideas into action and how we can work with other groups to enable that to happen, so that we can build a coalition of conscience. This is not going to be built by us, it's going to be built by thousands of people and thousands of groups who agree on basic values and who see that they can work together. And that's what the world needs, and we want to contribute our part in enabling that to happen. My name is John Bond. My particular response is that I am working with leaders of the people of Bunyoro in western Uganda. In that area, 2 billion barrels of oil have been discovered recently. Oil in developing countries often leads to chaos, corruption, and conflict. And I believe that it is the responsibility of those of us in the developed world to ensure that this does not happen, that we ensure that our oil companies put in place the practices which mean that the revenues from the oil are used to benefit the people instead of the sad situations which oil has sometimes created. So this is my commitment, this is my way of advancing the call to action, and let's see what happens.